Alright, so my absolute favorite noodle dish of all time is Dan Noodles. It hails from the Szechuan province of China and is definitely not Korean. But fear not, because being the weirdo that I am, I of course make mine Korean style. So today I'm gonna show you how to— Hey! Get out of there! Yeah, I see you. So today I'm gonna show you how to make the most epic, spicy, greasy noodles out there. If you've never had Dan before, it's kind of like a Chinese spaghetti bolognese, but a bit nutty and a whole lot spicier. I've got about a pound of ground pork in a medium-sized bowl, to which I'm gonna add some minced garlic. Go fairly heavy on the garlic here, roughly 4 or 5 large cloves. We're also gonna add a good nub of ginger, also minced, along with some soy sauce, cooking wine like Shaoxing, a good pinch of kosher salt, and white pepper. Lastly, we'll be adding the signature ingredient of the Szechuan province, Szechuan peppercorns. Unfortunately, there is no substitute for these. While you can come close to the flavor using fennel seeds, coriander, and lots of black pepper, the numbing effect of the peppercorn can't be recreated. I'm using a mortar and pestle to grind them up, mostly so I can give myself an arm cramp, but a spice grinder works too. We'll only need about half of it, as we'll be using the rest of it as a garnish. Give everything a good mix and place it in the fridge for at least 20 minutes, up to overnight. Alright, so let's talk chili crunch. This Chinese condiment, which is a chili oil with lots of toasted chilies in it, is essential for this dish. We're also going to need some kimchi. Now, traditionally Dan would use these pickled mustard greens, and even though they have a similar sour flavor to them, kimchi has a funky umami which I think makes the dish that much better. The next thing we're going to make is a sauce, so in a small bowl combine peanut butter, yes, peanut butter. Traditionally you'd use tahini, but I think peanut and especially almond butter make a far richer sauce. We're also going to add some dark soy sauce. This is totally optional and is just for color, as well as soy sauce, and the final signature flavor of the dish, Chinese black vinegar. If you can't find any, you can use malt vinegar, as they're fairly similar. The last thing we'll need is a few spoonfuls of the chili crunch. It all depends on your preference how much you use. I'm using a homemade version that is mostly gochugaru, Korean hot pepper flakes, so it's a bit milder than the Chinese version. Leave a comment if you'd like to see the recipe in a future episode. The sauce looks overly thick, and that's okay, because we'll be using some of the noodle water to thin it out and help it stick better to the noodles. Dan usually has some leafy green vegetables in it. I'm using these baby gailan or Chinese broccoli that I'm just gonna chop into bite-sized pieces. We're also gonna need, you guessed it, green onions. As for the kimchi, we just need to chop it into small pieces, not quite a mince. Last but not least are the noodles. You can use just about any kind of wheat noodle for this, including ramen, but I'm going with udon. And if you want to learn how to make your own udon, you can check out episode 13. Set a large pan over medium-high heat and add a good amount of a neutral cooking oil, and once it's just starting to smoke, add the ground pork mix. Using the back of a spoon, break up the pork until it's nice and crumbly and continue to cook until it's browned and crispy. Meanwhile, set a large pot of water to boil over high heat and season with a generous amount of kosher salt. Now by this point, you're looking at the pork and thinking, oh, that's crispy enough. No! No, it's not! You seriously want this crispy, like I'm talking almost bacon bits consistency. At this point, you can add the chopped kimchi and gailan and continue to cook over medium heat until the stems of the gailan are just cooked through. Once the water comes to a boil, you can add the noodles. It's not necessary, but having one of these handy noodle baskets will make your life so much easier. Continue cooking until they're nice and tender, at which point you can turn off the heat for the pork mix and spoon a few tablespoons of the cooking water into the sauce to thin it out and heat it up. Then it's just a matter of busting out your fanciest bowl and spooning a generous amount of the sauce in the bottom. Strain and add the noodles, top with the pork mix, the sliced green onion, the remainder of the Szechuan peppercorn, and a good drizzle of chili crunch. And that's it. Chinese or Korean-style Dan noodles. As good as they are, they're even more fun to try and mix them together in a bowl without making a gigantic mess. These noodles are fairly easy to make, and while this recipe is for 2 people, a single serving comes to a grand total of about $7, so not too bad at all. If you like my channel and are interested in supporting it, you can check out my Ko-fi page. I'll leave a link in the description. Thanks for watching, and stay awesome.